The Star of David, also known as the Seal of Solomon, has a mysterious and fascinating origin. This ancient emblem is not only found within Jewish traditions, but has also been used throughout history by various cultures. Have you ever wondered about the true origin of this symbol, known as the Star of David? In this video, I would like to show you the varied origins of this symbol that goes beyond its association with the Jewish people. I also invite you to show your support by subscribing to our channel, Biblical Secrets, giving this video a like and activating the bell so that you don't miss any of our future content. The history of the Star of David is really interesting, and its meaning endures through the centuries. Contrary to popular belief, for the Jewish people, this symbol is not specifically known as the Star of David, but as Magen David. The word Magen translates to shield or buckler, and in this context it refers to King David. In other words, Magen David means shield of David, not Star of David. The term Star of David has been adopted to represent both Jewish identity and Judaism as a whole. However, Judaism is also associated with some ancient occult currents, and its shape is a hexagram composed of two equilateral triangles. Unlike other symbols such as the menorah, the Lion of Judah, the flag of the Israelite tribe of Judah, the shofar or the lulav, the hexagram, known as the Star of David, was not originally an exclusive emblem of Judaism. This simple geometric symbol has been used by different civilizations throughout the centuries, often as a simple decoration. It is important to note that each symbol has a deep meaning. For example, some churches in the Galilee region use the Star of David or the hexagram as a decorative element. Furthermore, some thinkers suggest that the term Solomon's seal was adopted by Jews from Islamic magical literature. However, we can never say for sure whether the expression Shield of David originated in Islamic or Jewish mysticism. On the other hand, there are those who argue that not only the terminology, but also the underlying esoteric philosophy has pre-Islamic Jewish roots. Among the arguments, the Talmud is mentioned along with the reference to the hexagram engraved on Solomon's signet ring. Furthermore, it is emphasized that Jewish alchemists were teachers of their Muslim and Christian counterparts. A key figure in this transfer of knowledge was Mary the Jewess of Alexandria, who in the 2nd or 3rd century AD was already employing concepts that would later be adopted by Muslims and Christians. The alchemists, by incorporating these concepts, were able to graphically associate them with the symbolism of the inverted triangles that form the hexagram. This symbol began to be used explicitly later. However, the hexagram became widely disseminated in Jewish magical texts and amulets during the early Middle Ages. For this reason, many contemporary authors consider Islamic mysticism as the primary source of the hexagram, which was later transmitted to Jewish Kabbalists in medieval Spain. When it comes to the origins of the Star of David, the question arises as to whether it really represents an exclusive symbol of the Jewish people and King David, or whether it simply refers to him. In this context, I will present different interpretations of the origins of the Star of David, exploring its roots and meanings. First, I will address the most commonly accepted interpretation among Jews, the rabbinical interpretation. According to this version, the rabbis explain that the Star of David, i.e. the hexagram, was formed from the name of David. In this tradition, it is said that the blacksmiths wanted to give King David a shield with his name inscribed on it. Some claim that their goal was to engrave David's name on the shields of the soldiers of Israel. According to this version, the blacksmiths attempted to write King David's name in ancient Hebrew using the Phoenician script, which predates the square script. In this attempt, something surprising happened. The letters of David's name merged, resulting in the geometric formation of the Star of David or hexagram. This is particularly noticeable when we analyze the Phoenician writing of the name David. In Hebrew, David has 3 letters: Dalet, Bav, and Dalet. The letter Dalet, especially at the beginning, has a triangular shape. The Bav, on the other hand, does not have a triangular shape, but the second Dalet is exactly a triangle. Thus, by putting these letters together, two triangles are formed. The Star of David, or hexagram, is created by combining one triangle facing up and one triangle facing down. According to this tradition, the fusion of the letters Dalet is what gives rise to this symbol. It's worth noting that in Phoenician writing, the name David is pronounced Dawid. This is the origin that the rabbis attribute to the Star of David. On the other hand, many confuse the Star of David with the Seal of Solomon, which is virtually the same symbol. The difference between the Star of David and the Seal of Solomon is quite subtle. Some believe that Solomon, due to his involvement in idolatry and paganism, distorted the original symbol of his father David. According to this theory, Solomon altered the symbol due to his worship of pagan gods and building temples for these deities, departing from his father's faith. Accordingly, some argue that Solomon transformed the symbol of the Star of David, represented by the two intertwined Dalet, creating an intertwined figure. Meanwhile, the Star of David appears superimposed. Another interpretation holds that Solomon, in his love for many women, especially foreign and idolatrous ones, represented the masculine and feminine with this symbol. In this view, the ascending triangle symbolizes the masculine and the descending triangle the feminine. Solomon, due to his relationship with foreign women from Canaanite nations and his strong inclination towards them, seems to have altered the original meaning of the symbol associated with King David. This symbol, which is known as the Star of David, seems to represent the union between man and woman, especially in its relation to the symbolism of triangles. The image of the Star of David and the Seal of Solomon present a slight difference, but are seen as almost identical representations. In fact, the Seal of Solomon is believed to have been frequently used in magic, ritual, and occult practices. According to some stories, Solomon was dedicated to sorcery, and this seal was associated with a ring that he possessed. Speaking of Solomon's mistakes, these are not unheard of, as mentioned in the Book of Kings 11. Solomon, in addition to marrying Pharaoh's daughter, loved many foreign women, including Moabites, Ammonites, Sidonians, Canaanites, and Hittites, an act that went against the instructions given by God to the children of Israel. God had specifically commanded them not to associate with these pagan nations. However, Solomon gave in to the influence of his wives, amassing a total of 700 wives and 300 concubines. As Solomon grew older, his wives led him astray from God's path, leading him to worship the gods of these foreign nations. He even built altars to Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and to Molech, the abominable god of the Ammonites. These actions were seen as evil practices in the eyes of the Lord. Solomon not only turned away from his father's faith, but he allowed his wives to offer incense and sacrifices to these pagan gods, which was considered an abomination before God. This shows us how Solomon deviated from the principles of Israel's faith and how idolatrous practices began to infiltrate his reign. Now, as for the symbol known as the Star of David, it is interesting to note that the Bible does not explicitly mention this symbol as the emblem of the people of Israel, nor as a symbol associated with King David. In fact, it is referenced as a symbol related to idolatry in Old Testament times, a symbol adopted by the Israelites who turned away from the true faith. The book of Amos, for example, speaks clearly about this idolatry and how the Israelites began to worship a star, identified as the star of their God. In Amos 5:25-27, it is specifically mentioned, "Did you offer sacrifices and offerings to me in the wilderness for 40 years, O house of Israel? Instead, you carried the tabernacle of your Moloch and the star of your god Remphan, idols which you made for yourselves." Therefore I will take you into captivity beyond Damascus, says the Lord, whose name is the God of hosts. This verse shows us that according to this interpretation, both the Star of David and the Seal of Solomon could ultimately be pagan symbols adopted by Israelites who fell away from the true faith. Some might argue that the star does not have a defined shape, but was interpreted differently by the peoples who observed it. However, this is questionable, as cultures such as the Akkadians and Sumerians used a similar symbol to represent the sky, essentially a star. In this way, both the Star of David and the Seal of Solomon could have had a pagan connotation associated with a deity called Remphan, as described in the scriptures. The fact that the hexagram is found in various cultures as a pagan symbol and in magical practices reinforces this idea. I would like to know what you think about this. Which of these interpretations of the origins of the Star of David do you agree with? Do you agree with the view that it is the Star of Remphan, or do you believe that it is the Seal of Solomon? It is important to remember that in this video, I have presented several perspectives to help you better understand this ancient symbol. As for the true symbol of the people of Israel, while I respect the Star of David, the symbol most used in the Bible to represent the nation of Israel is in fact the menorah. So if you have been interested in this topic, I invite you to reflect on what we have discussed today. Do not forget to leave your comments below, because every opinion is important. Also, if you like this video and what you are learning, I invite you to subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you will be closer to strengthening your spiritual knowledge and getting even closer to God. Also, please share this video with your friends, because every time you do, you help more people find the truth. May God bless you. See you in the next video.